Hey guys, it's the series admin here, Chase Cowan. You probably know me as Turbo Obi-Wan from PlayStation. I thought we'd do things a little bit differently this week, so I'm going to do a little bit of a video driver brief here, and we'll see how that goes, mainly because I forgot to print off a nice map and draw all over it, so I'm going to use this shittier map, and we're going to draw on it and see how it looks. So, I've gone ahead and prepared this here for Blue Moon. This is pretty much the simplest circuit that we're going to visit on the calendar this season. So there's not really that much to cover, but that being said, there's still a few points that we probably should hit on before we head there. So first things first, Blue Moon. It's the Infield B circuit, and it's in the forward layout. So if you have been practicing the wrong circuit, you need to make note of that and make sure you're practicing the correct track. It's 1.77 miles in length. That's 2.86 kilometers for our friends overseas. 5 corners and 2 sectors. So it's kind of unique in that way. It's a fairly short lap. You're looking around a 52 to 54 second lap length, depending on how quick or not quick or whatever you are, what tires and fuel strategy you're running. So you're looking, sub-minute delta lap time. And as usual, race format is going to be 1 hour. And we've got the usual 3x on fuel and tire wear to consider, full damage, the whole gambit. So the main things that I want to hit on here for Blue Moon, one, as I usually cover, we'll go ahead and go around the lap length. We'll start at the beginning here with the pit exit. So pit exit, pretty much a point of contention at all tracks. Blue Moon, probably one of the easier circuits to go in and out of the pits without much problem on. It's got a really wide front straight, being that's a speedway roval course. But you're still going to want to be really cognizant as you come into turn one here. Basically, I mean, there is a line, and basically you need to respect that line and concede your position to a driver coming around the outside here if you're coming out of the pit lane. So keep to the inside. I mean, the guy that's coming up behind you, out on track, it's his job to not hit you, but it's also your job to not jump in his way. So, keep clean to the left when you come outside. Just be aware of the cars on the outside. And, if you're a lap down or you got faster traffic, you should get a flag warning to let you know. But either way, just be paying attention. You don't want to cause an accident there. It's one of the biggest places where you could hit someone unintentionally on this track. So as we go around into turn one. We all know turn one, if you played this track a lot, it gets super marbly on the outside here. It's kind of a tricky corner because you come downhill and you're hard braking, but you still carry a lot of speed, and then it expands out on exit and then back up the banking again. And there's not a lot of room on the exit here. Over here, it's weird. There's not a lot of room on the exit over here in this area because there's a wall there and there's not much runoff. So you got to keep that in mind. You can race people to the edge of the track. If you push someone off the track, though, it's intentional. Like I said, as before, if it's obvious, we look in the steward's review at the end of the race. If you're being a dickbag, you're being a dickbag. If it's an accident, you're racing hard, it's pretty easy to tell the difference between the two things. So, absolutely race hard, but don't just shove someone off the outside. There's nowhere to go. You're going to run them into the wall. There's no escape road. There's no runoff area. So keep that in mind. But that being said, attack hard. Turn one is one of the places you might try to get somebody here. It's really hard to pass on this track, actually. So we come down here, high speed kink into turn two. Not much to say here. It's a pretty quick corner. Actually, it's a pretty mega corner if you haven't played this track a lot. Come down here, hit the next, basically the sector time here, coming down the straight. Now, something we've touched on before, double moves, if you will. It's not a formal rule per se. You can make a double move, but once again, if you make a double move on someone and then you cause an accident because of the double move, you're probably going to get a post-race penalty for it. Maybe a yellow flag, but most certainly probably a grid penalty. So keep that in mind. If you make one defensive maneuver and something happens, it's just a racing incident. It's no big deal. But if you make a double move, it's going to be frowned upon if you cause an accident. So just keep that in mind. Then we touch on this in the braking zone here. So turn 4, this is probably the only like, it's not a difficult corner, but it'll really screw you up if you get the exit wrong. I mean, there's no runoff. It's one of those corners like it's mega if you hit it right, and there's very, very little margin of error on the outside. But being that it's kind of a hard 90, it's kind of like the best braking zone on the whole track because you've got this run here as you come through into sector 2 on this straightaway here. You can carry a lot of speed. You can pull out of the toe and try to outbrake someone. This is probably the best place to get a pass done, but like I said, there's no room on exit, so keep that in mind. Like I said, I usually rule if I'm looking over an incident or something, I'll like 9 times out of 10 or more rule it as a racing incident because everybody's just out there trying to have fun, trying to race hard, and get it done on track. But if you do something really, really dumb, like if you just don't even brake, you plow a guy off the end, like it's not cool. I don't really think I have to tell you guys that, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because it's a driver's briefing. If you do happen to like just totally wipe yourself out in this corner, because this is where it's going to happen. If it does, like most likely, I would be willing to bet money that if one of us bends it in this race, it's going to be into turn 4. You're going to have to cut across the track because you'll probably be on the outside if you hit the wall. But then come back to the apron, like do it safely, like look and make sure you're not cutting in the way of anybody, but go down to the apron. Like that's what they do in NASCAR, sports car racing. Like you get off the track, get down to the apron, get back to the pits, and like no harm, no foul. That's my advice. If you do any damage to your car, if you get on the speedway section, just get out of the way. And if you're on any other part of the track, like I've said, this applies to blue flags too, and I touched on this in the messages earlier. If you're the guy that's behind in position, that is, so you're ahead on track, but you're about to go a lap down, still run your race. Like you guys are actually really good at following blue flags, but like I said, too good. Like back off a little bit, make sure that you leave space, but like keep your racing line. Don't jump out of the way, do anything crazy, and the guy should be able to get around you because you're being predictable. Like don't race him, just mind your business and he'll go around. You can slow up, but don't get off the racing line. That's just going to cause more problems, and you don't have to send yourself into the dirt because the leader's coming up behind you. It's his responsibility to get by you cleanly. So don't feel like you have to jump off the track because the fast guy is coming up. That's total BS. So anyways, same thing applies there. If you're the only problem you'd really have to worry about is as you're going into sector 2 along the back section here, because it's really narrow, just keep your line and just wait until he gets to the speedway part. He can get you there. It's not a big deal. Like you can get out of the way. He can get on you on the straight. Like it's not, nothing to really fret over. The last corner on the track here, not much to really talk about. It's speedway turns flat out. Like this track doesn't really have very high tire wear. Honestly, like getting it done on the speedway section is probably the best place for overtaking because the track is the widest. You can get in the toe. Bump drafting is okay. If you guys want to bump draft, just know that it might register a penalty if you do it too hard. I really don't know how GT Sports are running that these days. You just want to kind of be cognizant of that. But don't be pushing people off the track as you're coming into the braking zone into turn 1 or anything like that. And then I guess as we come around to the end of the lap here, we'll hit on the last bit here, and that's the pit entry. So pit entry is super wide, and this is kind of like what I mentioned earlier about if you have a damaged car and you're trying to pull off the track, get down to the apron, like go ahead and pull down to the apron if you're going to pit. You don't need to use your signals or anything. You have plenty of room on this track to do it, so just make sure you get over and don't like cut really wide and then rip across the track in front of somebody. That's just dumb. So think about those things. But yeah, anyways, that's the main things that I wanted to touch on here. I can't really think of anything else for this particular track. I mean, like I said, contact is okay. Like a little bit of contact, rubbing is racing, but it's basically a touring car series if you want to think of it. So like some contact is expected. Just if you send someone flying off the track into the dirt, like that's different than you scrub fenders a little bit for the position. So, all things to consider. But if you guys have any questions, comments, please add anything you'd like to add or talk about the driver's briefing, anything you felt I missed that you want to touch on. But anyways, hopefully that covers it for this week. So Blue Moon Infield B. I'll see you guys there next Saturday. That's going to be at 12 noon my time, U.S. Central. So anyways, I'll send out more updates, keep everybody posted. But yeah, until then, take it easy, drive fast.